Today's episode brought to you by my standard issue message, get a floor sample. This is my spay and neuter your pets message for the show. Never don't get a floor sample. Always do get a floor sample. If you're going to buy a floor, you should have seen a piece of that floor in the room where you plan to put it before you spend hundreds or thousands of dollars and time installing and then live with it for decades. Get a piece of it and look at it in your room. You have to do this. Thanks a lot. Here's the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Making Flooring Easy. I'm David, and I'm here with Dan. And today, we're going to talk about the major kinds of flooring and basically where each one really shines, where vinyl has a superpower that the others don't have, and where hardwood has a superpower the others don't have, and what rooms they often wind up in. And I think one of the most popular kinds of flooring right now is vinyl plank. What does vinyl plank have that would make people primarily want to choose it over some other kind of plank floor?
Well, that's probably the easiest to list the benefits for because there's so many.
Yeah.
First of all, vinyl plank is waterproof.
And what does that mean? Does that mean it waterproofs your subfloor?
No, it doesn't waterproof the subfloor. That means if water flows over from the dishwasher or your laundry washing machine,
or seeps up through the basement floor.
Seeps up, whatever. Yeah. The floor, the material itself is waterproof. The flooring underneath is not necessarily waterproof. It could be plywood and it could warp and it could cause your floor to pop or come apart. But the floor itself, the vinyl planking itself, is waterproof. So it can come up and it can, in most cases, it can be reinstalled.
Whereas with laminate or hardwood, you have a flood and you still have to do whatever you have to do to clean up the room, but that flooring is gone. That hardwood flooring and that laminate flooring, if there's been flood on it, you can't put that back down.
In a lot of cases, that's true.
Right.
In some cases, the manufacturers have made some laminate flooring exceptionally waterproof or water resistant, let's say.
Right.
And the same with wood.
Right. But in general,
there technically isn't, that I know of, a true waterproof, laminate. But they've made great strides, and there are some waterproof hardwoods that we sell that
it's an engineered type.
It's an engineered type, and it has real hardwood on the surface. The veneer. Right. And then the core is a waterproof core,
and they've treated that surface, so it's also waterproof.
That's right.
Well, stick with vinyl for a second. That's the primary benefit. Is you have a flood, you're not buying a new floor.
That's right.
For your kitchen or your basement.
Right.
You're cleaning up the flood and dealing with that issue, but then you are not also buying a new floor for it.
You might need a new subfloor or somebody to come in and put a new subfloor down, but generally the floor itself is waterproof and can be reinstalled.
Right. So where do those generally, what's the room that people are like, I want vinyl for this room?
Generally people would want them for kitchens, bathrooms, laundry rooms, basements, but we're seeing them that people are doing them all through the house.
Oh, they can go all through the house. But
bedrooms, everything.
But if you're asking someone, why did you choose vinyl over hardwood? Often the reason is going to be, it's, or an entryway, where the snow and the rain are going to be tracked in. You're like, this is just not going to be a problem.
And that's why it's so popular.
And so wood, conversely, we talked about the waterproof hardwood, which is great, but it's not mostly made of wood. It's only the veneer on the top. What's the benefit of that? And one of the benefits of wood is if you have a vinyl or a laminate, any floor that's a replication, you're going to have a certain number of photographs that make up that surface. And they'll be adjusted and moved around, but you might have 6 to 10 different planks, so to speak. And with a waterproof engineered over, say, a waterproof vinyl, every plank is different because every plank, that surface, is a real piece of wood.
Every plank is a real piece of wood. Some people have a stigma about, what's underneath that real piece of wood. And then they think that it's laminate or vinyl or whatever, but it is wood. And when it goes down, only the wood shows. So people, when they walk in your house, aren't going to say, wow, that looks cheap or anything like that. People are going to, it looks like a real wood floor, which it is a real wood floor.
Right. And the engineered, the core isn't all wood.
Right.
But with most engineered, the engineered waterproof, the core is not wood. with most engineered flooring, the rest of it is wood too. They've just taken layers of wood and they've either crisscrossed them or they've made some kind of a fine grain fiber so that it doesn't respond too much to temperature changes.
But when it goes down in your house,
you walk on top of it.
You don't see that.
Right.
Nobody else sees that walking in.
Right.
They see a real wood floor.
So if you need the benefit of, I need my floor to not expand and contract so much, but I would like wood, engineered's the way to go. But solid wood...
That's a whole different story.
And it's still the gold standard, isn't it?
I don't know now.
Is that changing?
That has changed. It used to be 25 years ago, and there's still old timers out there that, and I say that because I guess I'm in that category too, that say, I want that 3/4 inch solid wood. That wood that it goes all the way through.
Sure.
And there's some people that want that, but that's still a very limited application for that. With all the technology and all the advancements that have gone on in flooring, it's really flip-flopped, whereas 25 years ago, solid hardwood was probably 70% of the hardwood market. 25, 30 years ago.
Of the
hardwood market.
Right.
Okay. And engineered was probably maybe 15 or 20 in that ballpark. Now it's totally flipped. Solid is probably 15%. There's very few manufacturers in the country that even still make it. A lot of them have just sold their plants or given up on their plants or whatever. So there's only like 2, maybe 3 major manufacturers that still make it, whereas 30 years ago, you could find it, anywhere.
So 10 years ago, Brian, listeners, Brian's one of our team, and if you find our YouTube channel, a lot of our how-to videos, Brian is the guy you'll see presenting. We did a video over 10 years ago about hardwood, solid versus engineered and so forth. And one of the things Brian said even then was that solid hardwood adds value to a home, and then that the others didn't. Has that changed too, do you think?
I think it's still a selling point. I think when you look at a advertisement for a house and it says
like all solid hardwood floors or something,
I think most what it would say today would be real hardwood floors or hardwood flooring throughout. But they might mean that engineered hardwood.
Sure.
And they may mean the waterproof hardwood, but they'll say hardwood. I don't think you'll see very many ads for a house that has the 3/4 inch solid hardwood throughout. Now you might.
Right.
Okay. But I don't see that really as often as I did years and years ago.
Well, if someone's going to pick one room for solid hardwood, what room would they pick?
Well, solid hardwood can really only go on grade, meaning the main level.
Above ground.
Above ground. It can't go in the basement, and it can go on the second floor.
Right.
And it needs to be nailed down or stapled. So it really can't go over concrete. It's not really recommended to go over concrete subfloors.
So you've got to have a wood subfloor to begin with.
Right. So
you're saying things like bedrooms and living rooms primarily?
Back 30, 40 years ago, they put it all through.
Sure.
People are pulling up carpet these days in old homes and finding
hardwood under it.
Finding hardwood underneath it.
Well, and I'm not saying that it can't go anywhere. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The main things is dining rooms, kitchens, living rooms, the main floor.
Places where you'd host.
Yeah, where people are making a more formal dining rooms or living rooms.
How about engineered hardwood, which can go anywhere in the house? And again, the primary reason that was developed was because solid hardwood, really responds to temperature and humidity changes, and they wanted something that was a little more stable. Where are you going to, again, it can go anywhere. We take that for granted. Most of the floors we're going to talk about can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Except solid can't go underground. Engineered, same thing. Primarily you'd use it kitchens and living rooms, or is it a little more...
kitchens, living room. The thing is,
kitchens. Dining rooms.
Dining rooms. The thing is with engineered, you get a lot more variety. You get wider width planks, whereas with solid, the most you're really going to find out there. I'm not going to say it's the only time because
you just mean generally,
but it's usually no more than 5 inches wide. There are some that are wider than 5 inch, but mostly you're going to find they're 2 1/4, 3-inch, 5-inch wide, and it's really rare to see it over 5-inch.
Because they got to cut this out of a tree, and think about how many limbs are thicker than 5 inches.
Yeah.
Right.
And so with engineered, you can get 3-inch, 5-inch, you can get 7-inch, 8-inch, you can get it tongue and groove, you can get it locking where it's like click together,
right,
where it floats over the
sure,
subfloor. There's all different types of engineered hardwood for every application you can think of.
So you might use it in the same rooms you'd use solid in, but you're just going to have an easier time or a different look that you might want.
And I'm going to say it again. People won't walk into your house and look at your hardwood floor and say, oh, that must be an engineered floor.
No, they'd have to cut it into a cross section,
right,
which is impolite.
Right. So nobody's going to know that, that it's not solid or it is engineered, or most people, unless they've shopped for wood or hardwood flooring, don't even really know the difference.
Well, and if you do, and you're in a place where it's been installed, how are you and I going to walk into a room and say, oh, I can tell,
right,
unless we just happen to know the product.
Right.
The other wood look plank floor is laminate,
mm-hmm,
which was really big, 15 or 20 years ago, and seems to have sort of been supplanted by vinyl, maybe because of that waterproof quality and because the image technology has finally caught up. But 15 years ago, laminate had really caught up.
Well, laminate really has gotten a bad reputation, over the years. There was a couple of things. There was the Chinese scare where some chemicals were allegedly put into laminate,
right,
that were harmful.
We tested
at that time. That was over 10 years ago.
Right, and we didn't find anything.
We didn't find anything, but all that is now cleared up and gone and hit in the history books.
And you'll still see it. Consumer Reports, as recently as 2 or 3 years ago, the words laminate were always preceded by the word plastic.
Yeah.
Plastic laminate. And I kept thinking, what are they talking about? Like, we've
Yeah.
never had a laminate come through us that wasn't made of wood. I
Right.
mean, it's just wood in a different form. And it's been ground up and compressed into this thick, dense core board, and then you've got this photograph on the top, and it's the coating. It's tougher than diamonds.
Aluminum oxide.
Aluminum oxide. Thank
Yeah.
you. The aluminum oxide coating.
Yeah.
So it's the aluminum oxide coating over an image of a floor, over a core board made of wood,
Yeah.
fibers, and then a little bottom. So anytime I read about it in places that aren't flooring specialists, they call it plastic laminate as if that's its name. And
today's laminate is totally different than 10 years ago laminate, 15 years ago laminate. Today's laminate is really a really great product. The manufacturers have really added a lot of technology to it. It's very, very water resistant. Some manufacturers do say that their product is waterproof if you abide by certain
their installation instructions,
instructions, so forth. And most, not all, but a good portion of today's laminate flooring is made in the United States. Mm-hmm. It isn't sourced from China. There is still some that comes over somewhere. I mean, we don't carry any laminate flooring that I know of from China. But it really is a totally different product than it was 15 years ago. And we still sell quite a bit, but, the vinyl plank has really cut into that.
Sure. I think where laminate would exceed vinyl plank's only going to be so thick.
Yeah.
Laminate can be thicker, and the result is it might be warmer underfoot. But also, I came in 15 years ago at the heyday of laminate. And it was really, the advancements were happening then. And they included things like the surface would be textured, and the texture would match the floor grain. They called it embossed in register, which means
Right.
nothing to the layman. But you could feel the top, and it felt like you were feeling that piece of wood. And it didn't feel
That's right.
rough. It was smooth.
Feels like a real piece of wood.
It does. Yeah. So my thinking for laminate was, given the aluminum oxide coating, that laminate is your durability champion, that laminate is good for playrooms and entryways and hallways, and not that others aren't, but that it's got that like surface.
Listen, I got a laminate floor down in my office. It's been in there. It's been installed for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And it looks like it did when we installed it.
Yeah.
Laminate can take a beating.
Right.
It can really, it's a good floor. I mean, it really can. I mean, it's just changed a lot. It's even just gotten better.
Right.
But it's really there's nothing wrong with laminate flooring.
On the durability front, listeners, crash course, and I'll go into this in detail in another show, but there's a rating called the AC rating for laminate, and this is a third-party test that almost every laminate submits to. It's 10 different durability tests, and the score is 1 through 5. 3 is the top level for residential. 4 and 5 are commercial level durabilities. I've never seen a 2 come through our door.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just like laminate is at the level where we don't even use those bottom 2 grades. And for those 10 tests, it has to hit every single test at a 3 to get the 3, which means when they say 3, they really mean at least 3.
Right.
It may have gotten 3 in one of those and 4 and 5s in all the others, but they can only call it 3 because for test 7, it hit a 3.
Right.
So you're talking about a strong, durable product that's its real, hardwood you can't walk on with high heels. That's kind of the rule. And there may be a few exceptions, and I'm sure they're working on that. Laminate, that's never been an issue.
Right.
So that's one of if you're thinking about where does laminate wind up, it's going to wind up where you're going to be active, that kind of a thing. What used to be a main seller, and still is a big seller, is carpet. The strengths between carpet and hard flooring are kind of obvious. It's hard flooring is like knocking on my desk, and carpet is like petting your dog. But what else are some carpet benefits that where you'd want it instead of a hard surface?
People still say to me, I want the vinyl plank in my living room, in my den, in my dining room, and in my kitchen. But in my bedrooms, I still want carpet because it feels soft and it's warmer and it's
homey
and it's comfier and all that. And so the carpet manufacturers have also done a lot, just like the wood and the laminate manufacturers, to catch up with the vinyl, in that there are carpets that we sell that were put in a rhinoceros pen at the Dallas Zoo. Mohawk Industries put a piece of carpet in a rhinoceros exhibit. And the rhinoceros, did its thing on this carpet for, I think, a couple of months. Mohawk took the piece of carpet out and cleaned it and put it next to a brand new piece that's never been put down, and you can't tell the difference. So the different fibers that the manufacturers use these days are so stain resistant, are so wear resistant that red wine can't stain it. Bleach can't stain it.
Wow.
So, now that's not all carpet.
No, but it exists,
So
is what you're saying.
It exists today.
Right. So if you really want carpet, but you were like, well, when I grew up, the problem with carpet was anything you spilled,
it stains.
Right. That may be something you can still have the carpet, and if that's your concern, you can get a carpet that handles that.
Right.
Or you can say, I want carpet in the playroom, but my kids are going to grow up in there. And yet you've got some durable carpets now.
There are carpets that are guaranteed not to stain, that the manufacturer will replace it if it stains. Due to red wine, if you try to clean it or if you have it professionally cleaned and it doesn't come out, they'll replace it. Again, not on every style,
right,
but certain styles that they have. It's really amazing the technology and the advancement that carpet has gone through.
It's almost like each of these types of floor sees what the others are doing and
That's
say,
right.
Well, let's figure out how to get that.
That's exactly right. And carpet has become so soft. They make it soft as a pillow. You could put your head down on it and fall asleep, that it's just so soft. So it's soft, it's stain resistant. So it just adds that warmth to a room.
Kind of a hominess.
Yeah, to the bedroom, to the upstairs hallway, that the others don't do. Again, 15 years ago, carpet was 80% of the flooring market.
That's what I thought. I didn't know it was that high, but I knew it was high.
Oh, it was super high.
Yeah.
Today, it's in probably the 40s. Okay, the low 40% range. Okay.
And not because carpet's gotten worse. It's actually gotten better.
It's gotten better,
but the others have raised up,
That's
too.
right. More people are putting hard surface in their houses in more places where carpet used to go.
And you just lay down a throw rug in front
right.
of the couch or that sort of a thing. The final one I want to hit on, the final major kind of floor, I think, and there are outliers like rubber and cork and stuff, but the final major kind is your stone and ceramic tile type floor, which we, and again, listeners, we're a flooring company. We ship flooring to customers' homes, and so we're not like a store. We're an internet business, and stone and ceramic are just heavy. And heavy means the shipping is crazy. So we don't do a lot of it, but we've had it. And people like it. Where does stone kind of outshine the other?
Well, again, there's definitely a place for it, and it's a beautiful product. But when you talk about stone and you talk about porcelain tile or ceramic tile,
right,
you're talking about more of a permanent floor.
Right.
Once it goes down, it's down. If you want to take it up, I tell people, get out the jackhammer and jackhammer it up, and the dust everywhere. And
I'm showing Dan a 3-inch long scar on my hand that came when I was helping a guy take up his porcelain floor, because the only way to do it was like a deconstruction.
Yeah, I mean, with a hammer and pick or whatever, a jackhammer, it's a permanent floor. So when it goes down, you better be happy with it. Where the others that we talked about, the laminate, the wood,
not solid wood,
not the solid wood, but the other ones,
right,
mostly are floating floors. They lock together, they click together, they float.
If you have a major spill, you can uninstall the floor up to that area, clean it, and reinstall the floor back to the wall.
Yes, and with porcelain and stone, that's not the case.
Also, it has to be installed professionally.
Has to.
There's no do-it-yourself on a porcelain floor.
And not only true professionals.
Right.
Not just your next-door handyman that thinks he knows how to do something.
A person whose job is to install that kind of flooring.
It needs a craftsman to be able to do something like that.
So it sounds like we're dogging on it, but I mean, there's a reason people like it.
It's beautiful. I mean, for the right application, especially in commercial settings or whatever, it's beautiful. A lot of people still put it in their bathrooms, which is fine. And there's millions of designs of stone and porcelains, and quite honestly, they're beautiful. They look, they look like marbles. They look like stone, like real stone.
It's kind of an elegant look.
It's beautiful, but it's a permanent floor.
Right, and it's slick.
It can be
slick and a little cold.
Cold, right?
Yeah, but so we're more saying negative things than positive. But I mean, I think if you want stone and ceramic, you already know why you want it.
Right.
I guess the other major, and I should have said this earlier, would be sheet vinyl, which used to be what vinyl floor was. Vinyl floor was either sheet or tile. You could either get it in squares or a great big sheet. Now the squares, we don't see those. We have them sometimes, but 96% of our vinyl flooring is not in the shape of a square. It's a long rectangle like a wood.
Yeah, you can see those squares. I think still the home centers still sell those.
Sure, yeah.
They're more like a temporary floor.
Yeah.
And the sheet vinyl, there's still a place for that in people's apartments. Apartments use a lot of it still.
Right.
But not so much new homes or whatever.
Right. And would that be just because it's kind of spongy? It's not a durable
I think people want a more realistic look today.
Sure, right.
They want things that look like hardwood, that may not be hardwood, but they want it that when their neighbor comes in the door, they want it to think it's hardwood.
I think when sheet vinyl came out, which was like 30s, 40s, 50s, somewhere in there, was early.
Oh, it's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah. If you look at old ads, there would be like a black and white checkerboard. You can tell they were like, I don't want to see wood planks anymore. And and you could have anything with a vinyl floor.
That's right. And you still can.
And now we're kind of reacting to the people who grew up on those, saying, I'm tired of looking at weird patterns that don't make any sense on the ground. I want wood planks.
That's right.
So we're just sort of swaying the other direction. The pendulum is swinging.
The trends, yeah.
I guess if there's a primary benefit to a sheet vinyl, it is once again not going to waterproof your subfloor. If you have a proper flood, the sheet vinyl still meets your wall, and at that point, the water can get around and get under. That's still not as much as in between every plank. But broadly, a sheet vinyl floor, if it's in a kitchen and you spill stuff on it, it's not going to go under and sink into your subfloor, generally. So you've got a floor that really does protect what's under it if you're in a place where you're like, there's just going to be water here.
Could, yeah. Most sheet vinyl, is glued down to the subfloor.
Okay, right. And again, there are no seams for the water to get through, is what I'm saying.
Well, if the seams are done properly,
yeah,
are sealed properly,
right?
There shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But
so that would be if you're just saying, I'm a messy cook, I have messy kids, we have a pool right outside the backyard, and they come in through the kitchen, and you want to put something down where water is just never going to get between the planks, sheet vinyl may be the way to go.
Could be.
But it's not the thing anymore.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay, well, listeners, So Dan and I have talked about what each floor does, and coming up in the mini episodes that follow, I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to look at each room. What is the best floor for your basement? And in that case, I also have a piece called What is the worst floor for your basement? We're going to talk about bathrooms, kitchens, and obviously you're not going to list every one of those, but whatever room you're looking at, I should have a piece about that just goes through for this room or this situation, allergies, pets. What are the best floors, best to worst? And those are going to be coming up. So that's why Dan and I didn't talk in that. That seems illogical for us, that's not how you shop. But because I'm doing it the other way, Dan and I decided to talk about each kind of floor. Okay, end of the show. Boilerplate podcast stuff. Rate and subscribe. Sure, rate and review us. Absolutely. Subscribe? I mean, yeah, if you want to. Go ahead and subscribe. Absolutely. You want to contact us? Our email address is contact@makingflooringeasy.com, spelled the same as the podcast. We have a website with a comments section, so if you want to ask a question about a certain episode, by all means, go to makingflooringeasy.com, that's our website, and send us a comment. Absolutely reach out to us, and we'll try to answer either there on the blog or in a future show. This podcast is executive produced by Floors to Your Home, and it is conceived, produced, edited, audio cleaned, all of that by W. David Lichty, and that's me. Music from each episode comes from the website freepd.com, where you can find music for your own podcasts. And for the most part, we generally wind up using music by Kevin MacLeod, who's been making free usable music for more than a decade, and it's generally really great stuff. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and by the way, if we haven't answered your questions here and it doesn't look like we've got a show about something that you need to know about, just give us a call. At Floors to Your Home, we're kind of the flooring question and answer people, and that's who you'll get when you call us. So give us a yell at 1-800-804-5251 with any questions about flooring that you have for us, okay?